Welcome, the rare gems. Let's get one thing straight. Trying to intimidate a Sigma female is like trying to scare the ocean with a pebble. It's a waste of time and energy. She's not your average woman who plays by societal rules or seeks validation from others. Sigma females operate on a whole different wavelength, one built on self-confidence, independence, and a deep sense of purpose. Here's the kicker. Intimidation doesn't weaken her. It fuels her. Every attempt to make her feel small only reinforces her unshakable belief in herself. And if you think she's going to cower or crumble, think again. A Sigma female will outsmart, outclass, and outlast anyone who dares to step in her way. This video isn't just about understanding why intimidation tactics fail miserably. It's about celebrating the power and resilience of Sigma females everywhere. If you're one of them, this is your reminder to stand tall, embrace your strength, and never let anyone dim your light. Ready? Let's dive in. Number 1. She's already faced worse. Life doesn't hand out cheat codes, and for a Sigma female, it certainly hasn't offered any shortcuts. She's been through storms most people wouldn't even dare to face. Whether it's navigating toxic relationships, standing firm against societal pressures, or building her own path when the odds were stacked against her, she's done it all, and not just survived, but thrived. The thing about a Sigma female is that she doesn't just endure challenges, she learns from them. Each hardship she's faced has added another layer to her resilience. Every time she's been underestimated, disrespected, or dismissed, she's used it as fuel to sharpen her mind and strengthen her resolve. So when someone comes along with petty attempts to intimidate her, it doesn't even register as a threat. To her, it's laughable, like trying to knock down a fortress with a paper plane. What intimidators fail to realize is that she's already been tested by life itself. She's battled self-doubt, taken hits that would break others, and come out the other side with a confidence that's rooted in experience. You can't shake someone who's already weathered the worst. If anything, your attempts to rattle her will only remind her of how far she's come and how insignificant your efforts really are. Here's the brutal truth. If you try to intimidate a Sigma female, you're not stepping into uncharted territory for her. You're walking straight into her comfort zone, and in that space she holds all the cards. So go ahead and try. Just know that the only thing you'll accomplish is showing her how far ahead of you she really is. Because no matter what you throw her way, she's already faced worse and won. Number 2. Intimidation doesn't work on someone who doesn't seek approval. Intimidation is a game built on control, and control only works when someone cares about your approval. But here's the thing about a Sigma female. She couldn't care less about what you think. She's not chasing validation, social clout, or acceptance. Her self-worth doesn't hinge on anyone else's opinion, and that makes her completely immune to intimidation. Most people fall into the trap of wanting to fit in, wanting to be liked, or fearing rejection. That's the leverage an intimidator uses to keep others in line. But with a Sigma female, that leverage doesn't exist. She's built her identity on her own terms, and she lives her life unapologetically. Whether it's her career, relationships, or personal choices, she's not looking over her shoulder to see who approves. She's too busy focusing on what matters to her. When someone tries to intimidate her, it's like throwing a punch into thin air. There's nothing for the blow to land on because she's not playing the same game. She doesn't care about power dynamics or ego battles. She sees those tactics for what they are, weak attempts to manipulate or control, and dismisses them entirely. In fact, your attempts to intimidate her only highlight your own insecurity. She doesn't need to say a word. Her indifference is enough to throw you off balance, and the harder you try, the more ridiculous you look. She won't react, she won't engage, and she certainly won't seek your approval. Instead, she'll keep doing what she does best, living life on her own terms and reminding you without a single word that intimidation only works on people who care about being accepted, and she doesn't. Number 3. Emotional manipulation backfires spectacularly. If you think guilt trips or emotional games can rattle a Sigma female, you're in for a rude awakening. She's built differently, emotionally self-sufficient, grounded, and completely immune to manipulation. Unlike people who need constant validation or fear losing approval, She doesn't derive her self-worth from others. That makes her untouchable when it comes to emotional power plays. The problem with trying to manipulate her is that it's blatantly obvious to someone who's mastered emotional independence. She sees right through the tactics, the guilt-laden words, the subtle gaslighting, the overly dramatic "woe is me" act. To her, it's not threatening, it's exhausting, and instead of reacting or playing along, she simply shuts it down. Here's the kicker. Emotional manipulation doesn't weaken her. It reveals your emotional immaturity. While you're trying to control the narrative or make her feel bad, she's silently taking notes, recognizing that your behavior stems from insecurity, not strength. This realization doesn't hurt her. It just solidifies her decision to emotionally disengage from you. The beauty of a Sigma female's mindset is her refusal to be pulled into someone else's chaos. She doesn't argue, doesn't justify, and certainly doesn't fall for your games. She'll either call you out with calm precision or detach entirely, leaving you to stew in your own emotional mess. Every attempt to manipulate her only backfires because it shows her exactly who you are, and it's never impressive. While you're busy plotting your next move, she's already decided you're not worth her time. And in that quiet, deliberate decision, she's taken away the power you thought you had, leaving you with nothing but the realization that manipulation doesn't work on someone who doesn't need you. Number 4. Her success will make you regret trying. Trying to intimidate a Sigma female is like throwing fuel on a fire. You think you're extinguishing her, but all you're really doing is igniting her drive. She thrives under pressure and doesn't crumble when faced with opposition. In fact, your attempts to hold her back only sharpen her focus and fuel her determination to succeed. Sigma females are not the kind to seek revenge through confrontation or dramatic declarations. Their revenge is simple and devastating. Success. The more you try to undermine her, the harder she works to outdo not just you, but her own past accomplishments. She doesn't need to argue or fight you. Her results speak louder than any words ever could. And here's the harsh reality. By the time she's achieved what you thought was impossible, you'll be left in her shadow, irrelevant and forgotten. She doesn't just rise above intimidation, she makes it look effortless. While you're stuck in your own insecurities, she's moved on to bigger and better things, leaving you to realize that all your efforts to intimidate her were a colossal waste of time. What makes it even worse for you is that she doesn't need to rub it in. Her success is the loudest statement she could ever make, and it doesn't require her to say a word. You'll feel it when you see her thriving, confident and untouchable. And the irony? The energy you wasted trying to tear her down is the same energy she transformed into her fuel to rise. In the end, the only person intimidated is you, by her unstoppable success and your own inability to keep up. You'll regret trying, not because she'll punish you, but because her victory will be impossible to ignore. Number 5. She's not afraid to call you out in the most unexpected way. When it comes to confrontation, Sigma females are a force to be reckoned with, but not in the way you might expect. They don't lash out or engage in emotional outbursts. Instead, they approach the situation with a calm, calculated precision that catches people completely off guard. While others might get flustered or defensive, she stays composed, letting the facts and her razor-sharp logic do all the talking. What makes her approach so devastating is how unexpected it is. Most people anticipate an emotional reaction when they try to provoke someone, but with a Sigma female, you're met with an unshakable calm that immediately shifts the power dynamic. She doesn't raise her voice or waste energy on unnecessary drama. Instead, she'll pick apart your actions, statements, or motives with such clarity and accuracy that you're left with no room to argue. Her ability to call you out isn't about making a scene, it's about setting boundaries and standing firm in her principles. She's not afraid to hold a mirror up to your behavior, and she'll do it in a way that leaves you no choice but to face the truth. What's even more disarming is that she doesn't do it to humiliate or belittle you. It's simply her way of establishing that she won't tolerate nonsense. And the best part? Once she's made her point, she's done. There's no lingering grudge or need to keep rehashing the situation. She's said what needed to be said and moved on, leaving you to deal with the aftermath of your own actions. It's not just a confrontation, it's a lesson. One you'll never forget, because her calm, unexpected way of calling you out will leave a lasting impression you can't shake. We appreciate you, Rare Gems, for being a treasured subscriber. Your consistent support is vital to us and fuels our passion for delivering meaningful content. Thank you for your engagement and encouragement. Number 6. You'll expose yourself as weak, not strong. Intimidation is a cheap trick, and when you try it on a Sigma female, it doesn't just fail, it backfires in the worst way possible. Why? Because intimidation, at its core, is a loud signal of insecurity. It's not about strength, it's about fear. And when you target a Sigma female, you're unintentionally holding up a neon sign that says, "I feel threatened." She's smart enough to see right through it. Every raised voice, every smug remark, every subtle dig, it all screams desperation, not dominance. To her, intimidation isn't power. It's weakness wearing a poorly made disguise. The harder you push, the clearer it becomes that you're not trying to overpower her. You're trying to compensate for your own feelings of inadequacy. What's even worse for you is that she doesn't need to fight back or defend herself. She won't stoop to your level, and she certainly won't give you the reaction you're fishing for. Her silence, her calm demeanor, and her refusal to engage will do all the work for her. And while you might think you're gaining ground, everyone watching, including her, is seeing the truth. You're not strong, you're scared. By the time you realize what's happened, it's too late. You've exposed yourself as weak, insecure, and desperate for control. She doesn't even have to lift a finger to win because you've already undermined yourself. And when all is said and done, she'll walk away unaffected, while you're left to wrestle with the reality that your attempt to intimidate her didn't just fail, it backfired spectacularly. Instead of proving your strength, you proved the exact opposite, and she didn't have to do a single thing to make it happen. Number 7. She'll use your intimidation as fuel. Trying to intimidate a Sigma female is like handing her the fuel she needs to light a fire that burns hotter than anything you could ever imagine. She's not the type to be crushed by negativity or threats. Instead, she has a unique ability to transform your attempts into something powerful. When you try to bring her down, she doesn't fold under pressure. She uses it as raw material to fuel her growth, whether it's in her career, fitness, or personal ambitions. Sigma females are psychological alchemists. They can take the energy you throw at them, be it frustration, anger, or intimidation, and turn it into pure productivity. What you think will break her only strengthens her resolve. While you're busy trying to knock her off her path, she's already channeling that energy into leveling up. By the time you realize what's happening, she's already outpacing you. You've wasted your time and energy trying to disrupt her, while she's moved forward, using every negative encounter as a stepping stone to success. The more you try to break her down, the more she accelerates. What you see as a threat, she sees as an opportunity to rise higher. And what's even more stunning is that she doesn't have to announce her progress. You won't see the change until it's too late. By the time you notice, she's already left you behind. Her success fueled by the very tactics you tried to use against her. You thought you could intimidate her, but all you did was propel her to the next level, far beyond anything you can reach. Number 8. She'll flip the script on your power play. When you try to play a power game with a Sigma female, you're setting yourself up for failure from the start. Power plays only work if both parties are playing by the same rules, and that's where you go wrong. Sigma females don't operate within conventional power dynamics. They've already rewritten the playbook. While you're busy trying to flex your influence or manipulate the situation to your advantage, she's quietly observing and assessing how best to dismantle your leverage. The beauty of her approach is that she doesn't even need to engage in a direct battle. She simply exists outside of the rules you're relying on. Your power play? It's irrelevant to her. She sees it for what it is, a fleeting, temporary attempt to establish dominance that only works on people who care about those types of games. Instead of pushing back or playing into your hand, she'll quietly flip the script in ways that leave you completely exposed. She won't fight your power with force. She'll neutralize it with sheer intelligence, confidence, and an understanding of human behavior. By the time you realize she's taken control, you'll have already lost. You'll be left wondering how your supposed power dissolved without even a fight. The kicker? She doesn't need to announce her move. There's no need for dramatic gestures or statements of victory. She'll dismantle your power play with such ease and subtlety that you won't even know when it happened. All your efforts to gain leverage will slip away, and the Sigma female will be standing there, untouched and untouchable. You thought you had the upper hand, but in reality you never stood a chance. Number 9. You'll eventually look foolish trying to break someone unbreakable. When you try to break a Sigma female, you're not just wasting your time. You're setting yourself up to look foolish. She's unbreakable, and every time you try to intimidate or manipulate her, you only end up showcasing her strength and your own weakness. The more you push, the more she solidifies her position as someone who can't be moved by petty tactics or threats. At first, you might think you're making progress, but with each failed attempt, it becomes painfully clear to everyone around you that you're not just failing, you're unraveling. Your efforts become so obvious and transparent that the people watching won't even need to speak up to notice the truth. They'll see the way she stands firm, unfazed, while you struggle to get any reaction from her. They'll start to realize that it's not her who's weak, it's you. What makes this situation even more painful is that you're too focused on your own insecurities to see the bigger picture. Every attempt you make to get under her skin only reveals how threatened and desperate you feel. Meanwhile, she's perfectly content, going about her business, unaffected by the noise you're making. You're the one who's exposed, not her. And soon, it won't just be the people around you who notice. You'll notice too. The realization will hit that you've made a fool of yourself trying to break someone who simply cannot be broken. You'll see that your failed intimidation tactics have not only left you looking weak and desperate, they've also given her the opportunity to rise above you. By the time you've recognized the truth, it's too late. You're already the one who looks foolish. Number 10. She sees through your insecurities. When you try to intimidate a Sigma female, you're not just revealing your attempts at control. You're exposing the insecurities that drive them. Most intimidation tactics come from a place of fear, inadequacy, or a desperate need for validation. The thing is, a Sigma female has an uncanny ability to see through these masks almost instantly. Within seconds of you trying to throw your weight around, she'll know exactly what's motivating you: fear, insecurity, or some desperate need to feel superior. Rather than being intimidated, she'll simply lose respect for you. She's not moved by the same things that motivate others. She doesn't need approval, and she certainly doesn't need to measure up to anyone's standards. When you try to assert control through intimidation, it only reveals to her that you're operating from a place of weakness. You're not showing strength, you're showing your flaws, your fears, your desperation. What's worse is that she won't feel the need to engage with you on the same level. She won't get defensive or retaliate, she'll just mentally dismiss you. You're no longer a threat. You're just another person hiding behind insecurity, trying to mask it with bravado. And once she sees through that, she's done. She doesn't need to entertain your games. You've already lost her respect, and at that point, there's no coming back. Your attempt to intimidate her won't just fail, it'll expose your weakness and seal your irrelevance in her mind. In the end, trying to intimidate a Sigma female is always a losing battle. She doesn't operate by the same rules you're used to playing by, and your attempts to shake her will only reveal your own insecurities. While you're busy trying to assert control, she's already outpacing you, using every challenge as fuel to build herself up. Her strength doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from her ability to stay grounded in who she is, unaffected by the noise and drama around her. If you're a Sigma male, you already understand the power of standing firm in your individuality and being unshaken by the attempts of others to manipulate or intimidate you. The same applies to the Sigma female. She thrives on self-reliance and inner strength. Instead of wasting time trying to bring her down, learn from her example. Use any negativity or intimidation you face as a stepping stone for growth. So, if you're thinking about trying to intimidate her, remember this: she won't break, she won't be rattled, and you'll only end up exposing your own weaknesses. Instead, focus on leveling up in your own life. growing in ways that make you the kind of person who doesn't need to intimidate anyone because your strength speaks for itself. Take care and see you in our next video. God bless.